it didn't look like to me like they were going against the shell of Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that this
No.
was a completely washed, broken down version of a formerly great player. I think Aaron Rodgers is still a very, very good quarterback, and he played that way against the Jets. The problem was, Matt, and this is where we got to start really. The Jets defense just had their hair on fire from the very first snap. And it was a complete and total domination effort by the entire unit. Starting up front with the defensive line, Quincy Williams is making his all-pro case about as fast as we could hope for. 2 sacks in this game, up to 5 on the season, currently leading the league for defensive tackles and sacks with those 5 sacks. He had an awesome game. John Franklin Myers got in on the party with a sack. Sheldon Rankins got in with a sack. Carl Lawson, I don't think he registered a sack himself, but he was doing damage on stunts, creating movement for other guys to come free. The defensive line really had their way with this Packers offensive line from the very, very beginning of the game. And I do not think this game looks the way that it does without that effort.
It really doesn't. The best offense for Green Bay all day was probably penalties. I think they had something like 79 yards plus in penalty yardage. That's really what kept them in this game for
And
as
one of
long
them
as
was
they
the
were.
Jets coaches on the sideline,
Yeah,
which,
that was
yeah,
ridiculous. The
yeah, one of
entire
them
drive.
wasn't even the defense.
Is yeah. Yeah. This defense is exactly what we kind of envisioned this defense could be, especially with the pass rush. We were salivating at the idea of Lawson and Quinnen and Franklin Myers and JJ and everybody else on the edge, rotating in and out, fresh legs, coming after passers all game. And it's kind of coming. It's been coming to fruition the last couple of days, a couple of weeks, where this team has been coming after the quarterback and in bunches too, not just a few times here and there, and in clutch situations. How many? I don't know how many third down sacks or tackle for losses there were, but there were quite a few. So they're not just making an impact; they're making an impact in clutch situations, and you really can't say enough about that.
No, you can't. And it goes back to what this coaching staff has said, pretty much since they've been here, which is you got to find the guys that put on when it's crunch time. And when the game is on the line and you get in those third down situations, that's where games are won and lost in the NFL is third down in the turnover margin. And for this team, again, second straight week on offense with no turnovers, you have a defense that's able to generate turnovers and a fumble recovery. That's always going to be a help. And then, like you said, coming up clutch on third down with big plays, we saw some great play out of Sauce Gardner in this game. Another excellent game from him on what is appearing to be a defensive rookie of the year pace with how he's playing. Nearly had a pick six on the first drive, a slight
Inches.
inches away from being a pick six to open the game. It's he's playing out of his mind. I could sit here and talk about Sauce all day, and the fact that he ends it by walking out of Lambeau with a cheese head on and seemingly carried it with him indefinitely. I don't. He probably still is holding on to the thing right now as we record. That's elite level cornerback trolling, and there it feels so good as a fan of this team to be the team that's getting to puff your chest out in the other team's stadium, especially against a team like the Packers. This is Sauce is like I really can't explain how good he is this fast.
It
I
really doesn't make any
knew
sense either.
no, I knew he was talented. We both knew he was talented. We both knew that we thought he would make a good transition, fit the scheme, and all of that. But he is so aware of what's going on around him. That's what's
Oh yeah.
impressed me the most with him is that his field vision and his awareness, his route recognition. I don't think I've seen him fooled once this season. Whereas there been a single time where you can remember where Sauce Gardner's covering somebody and he just gets absolutely routed up and is not even in the same area code as the receiver he's trying to recover? Because I don't think it's happened once.
No. I know that PFF attributes one touchdown to him. I think it was on just a miscommunication. But I haven't seen him get like completely burned by anybody yet.
No, I really don't think it's happened. And if he continues this pace, we're probably going to be talking about him as one of the best cornerbacks in the league by the end of the year. And it's crazy to say that about a rookie, but that's the type of play he's having right now. Uh, I believe from what I was seeing yesterday, he's had 40 total coverage snaps in man coverage, and he's only been targeted 6 times and given up 1 catch.
That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. And going against some premier receivers as well. Obviously, you had Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, week 1 with the Ravens. You had Amari Cooper with the Cleveland Browns. You had the Bengals and all of their strong receivers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, the whole crew. Pittsburgh had a great group. Sauce was the only guy on our defense that could stop George Pickens that day. The Dolphins, we talked about the Dolphins and their skill talent. Tyreek Hill leading the league in receiving. And you get to Green Bay, not the most incredibly talented receiving group as maybe it had been in years past, but when you're going against quote unquote lesser competition, you should go out and dominate. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. And before, when I said it doesn't make sense, I mean more what he's able to do physically. He's
Oh, yeah.
6'4", and the change of direction that he has and the fluidity he has is so impressive and wild. Like I can't. This is hard to do for cornerbacks that are maybe like 5 or 6 inches shorter than him. Never mind a guy at his size. It's truly impressive. And you match that with what our defensive line is doing, and you can see why it's so hard to really move against this defense. Whether it's a backup quarterback in Miami or a future Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers, there's these quarterbacks are having a hard time. I think it should be noted that the linebackers probably had their best game in the
Yep.
last couple of years. I haven't seen these guys fly around and make tackles like that in a very long time. It seemed like every time there was a hole opening up, somebody was in there to thwop them right in the gut and stop them for nothing. It looked like one of those like slingshots with a watermelon just like coming back at their faces. They would just get downed right away, whether it was CJ, whether it was Quincy. Quan was amazing also. These guys showed all 3 levels. Everybody came to play. And I don't think that we have the performance that we had yesterday without them.
No, not at all. And I'm going to echo everything you just said and go a little bit further and say, hats off Quincy Williams
Yeah,
to come
really.
off an injury that looked as bad as it did, to only miss 2 games, to get back on your first opportunity coming off on the road, going against a tough running team like the Packers with some really good running backs in their backfield, and to just be decleating people all day long, to just be coming downfield with reckless abandon, like the heat seeking missile that we all know he can be, and putting people in the dirt. I mean, he suplexed Aaron Jones on an inside run earlier in the game. And that was just the beginning of what was a incredible effort from Quincy. He's having a quietly really good season. Still
Oh
waiting
yeah.
for, the plays and coverage to really start clicking, but I don't think he's been a liability necessarily. I don't think he's been getting completely and totally picked on. And the way he's attacking in the run game, the misses are gone. Last year it was Quincy's so good, he's so fast, he's so explosive, and he's such a hard hitter. And when he guesses right and he comes downhill and the play is right, and it's a big play and he blows it up. And then there's the other times where he guesses wrong and he's out of the position, he's in the wrong gap, and the offense gets a huge run because of it. Not this year. He is seeing what's in front of him and he is striking people with authority. And I just got to tip the cap to him because the improvement from last year to this year was already incredible, but to keep the pace after a serious injury and come out like an absolute madman in your first game back, that's really impressive.
Yeah, he's just seeing the field very well. He's taking great angles. He's sifting through linemen and that the mesh up front. And yeah, he's got that same power. It's almost like that the injury never happened when we saw him in that air cast. We thought he was done for the season for sure. And then here he is. What, like 2 weeks later?
2 weeks.
It's incredible. And it looks like he hasn't missed a step at all. Yeah, he's an he's a free agent after this year, and I would love for him to come back. I would love to see him grow even more in this defense.
Absolutely. No, he's a priority resign for me. I think you got to keep him in this building. He's a perfect scheme fit. The coaching staff adores him, loved him as a prospect coming out, and even more so now having him in the building. You have the connection with Quinn in there as his brother as well, to have the familial connection and how cool it is to have those two guys playing on the same defense. But outside of just the coolness factor, he's playing some really really good football, and I would really like to see him continue to grow with this coach with this coaching staff that you and I both know, Matt. All they do is create good linebackers. And so it looks like Quincy's next in line, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.